Hail, hail, the Celts are here, and what the hell do we care about losing a derby anyway, guys? All we do is we pick ourselves up, we dust ourselves down, and we get ready for the next fixture, because even though with the party atmosphere that was coming out the blue side of Glasgow, you'd have thought that there might have been a title race back on, and the gap was firmly closed, and it was going to be a real head-to-head, point-for-point, us versus them, but quickly, this weekend we get back into reality as we see them drop points yet again, and Celtic ring in the changes to really, get back to business. Beating St Mirren 3-0, a team that had recently beat Rangers as well, one of the top sides in the SPFL. This game was pretty convincing. There wasn't too much drama, there wasn't too much jeopardy on Celtic really dropping points in this one, but one thing we did see is a couple of changes, and we've seen a bit of an evolution into the style of play of one or two players in the team, as well as maybe the midfield department that I would have expected to see us play in the derby match just gone, but with maybe that cementing in some of these lessons of how the team needs to grow, needs to evolve. Maybe Rodgers has read the writing on the wall with some of the stuff we've seen in this game here, because we are in the January transfer window. We are expecting to have some business done this window that will move the squad on. At any point in the video today, as we have a look at what we've seen in the St Mirren match, if you do laugh, you learn, you like something or whatever, please do like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. And if you did miss the breakdown and the analysis from last week, that's all still on the channel, and it'll be linked at the end of this video in case you missed it and you want to check it out, of course. Get into the comment section on this one. This is the Celtic channel on YouTube with the most fire in the comment section. I want to hear hot takes, major takeaways, winners, losers. Who was your man of the match? What's your thoughts and feelings on the Celtic 3-0 victory over St Mirren today at point of recording? And yeah, let's just get stuck straight into this one. Because St Mirren, for me, over the last couple of years, has been a very good test, a very good barometer on how good the squad is to face against domestic opponents. St Mirren, although they didn't really pack like tons of goals in their team, they're, over the last 2 or 3 managers they've been super well organised. They've got a really good recruitment strategy. It feels like they don't really have any overly weak players, let's just say. There's normally a player or two that give us a good game that maybe we don't get all of the joy down one side of the pitch, or they're always a decent outfit, and I think, again, we've seen that today in this game, despite the scoreline. Ultimately, they came in with a bit of a different style of play. There was a kind of 3 at the back system here, or 5 at the back, depending on how you want to think of it. The midfield 3 they went out with today, Phillips, Boyd, Munson, O'Hara, I thought were all quite combative and really did give us a lot of food for thought in the middle, with Olasanya versus Carter Vickers entering, I think it's 5th or 6th maybe head-to-head clash between these two guys. It's always a test of strength. It's always a who's going to blink first, and this one along with Greg Kiltie kind of coming up in support here. But all the headlines were made when the team came out for really 2 players. The first one being Auston Trusty being reinstalled, being reinstated back into the starting 11 after Liam Scales maybe not doing that great against Rangers. Personally, I do feel this is a bit harsh, but it did feel inevitable that Trusty was going to come back into the side after the last derby match. I do think, on a side note, it was surprising to see Taylor start again, especially with all the transfer links and everything else that's been going on in the aftermath of the derby game, of course. But the other part was Luke McKeown getting a rare start ahead of Rio Hatate, and again against a top 6 SPFL side. I didn't really see this coming. Normally we've seen McKeown, I know he's played against Dundee, his former club or whatever, but generally McKeown has came in for the start, similar to Adam Ida, against a more closer to bottom 6 type outfit. So those 2 changes definitely grabbed some headlines at the beginning, Trusty and McKeown, but outside of that, the rest of the team really did pick itself. I did feel that Adam Ida was due to get a start after Kyogo blanking again in the derby match, and I see everyone else really did pick themselves. What I did find really interesting from this game, we've spoke about Callum McGregor quite a lot on this channel over the last 2 years or so, and it feels like this is now becoming quite a hot topic amongst other Celtic fan media channels, which is fantastic to see and to hear that, some of the conversations we're having are spreading around, and other people are just noticing the same stuff that we've been kind of highlighting on the channel for the last little while. But just to highlight something that we're going to talk about in the video today, in the first half of this game, Callum McGregor only completed 25 passes. By the 70th minute, he had only completed 40. These numbers are really, really low compared to what we normally see from McGregor, especially at home. One of the compliments we were paying Celtic, not in the derby match, but the game before that, was at St Johnstone, was that Bernardo in this position here had 40 passes or something like that across the 90 minutes, and that was significantly less than Taylor, and than McGregor, and we were highlighting how just if there's less of an obligation to give McGregor the ball, you just find that these other advanced midfielders, or maybe the wide players, get the ball a bit quicker, get it a bit sooner. It stops the opposition it takes a second or two away from them to reposition and to cut off passing lanes and whatever. And in the opening periods of the match, as much as McGregor was still the fulcrum, was still at the heart of everything, it just did really feel that he was getting much, much less touches of the ball, especially first half. And it did feel that whether it be McKeown or Kühn out in this side here, where we're always quite quick to try and find these players out in these positions here a little bit earlier, a little bit sharper. Same on the left hand side. I did think, but seeing Arne Engels pitched out here again on the left side of the midfield three, we've seen this a few times, especially when it's Engels selected over Hatate. And I know people are putting McKeown into this, and I can see why. Makes sense, of course. But in terms of actual positions, it's Engels that's taken Hatate's shirt here. And I would still say McKeown did do the support role, like up here with Ida, don't get me wrong. But being on the left of midfield, he was still doing the real job of going up and down, being effective both sides of the ball. And, like early stages in this match, Taylor was a bit more regular fullbacky in this game, it must be said. And we've seen Engels make some great defensive blocks in and around this area of the pitch, which actually quite reminded me of Liam Scales, truth be told. But Engels was very effective at both sides of the pitch, both sides of the ball, on this left-hand side of the pitch. And I do think that this is part of the equation, part of the balancing act that Rodgers is trying to master with the midfield that we have here. It does feel that Engels feels a lot more comfortable on this side of the pitch here, coming on his inside for his right foot to try and find a striker, to try and play the winger that might come in, or for any long diags that might be able to come off. Now, McKeown and Engels did have freedom in this game. We've seen them popping up in lots of different areas of the pitch, defensively, offensively, on the right, on the left. They still have that freedom to play into pockets and to try and find, the areas of the pitch where they can try and get on the ball and try and make something happen, of course. But it did feel that primarily that we've seen Engels on this left-hand side, and really just gave a bit more physicality on that side of the pitch, because normally with Hatate, Taylor and Dyson, the ball can be lost over there quite often, quite easily, whether it be slack passes, a lack of physicality, a lack of care on the ball, whatever it might be. And I felt that Engels over here, along with Taylor in the first half, holding, he wasn't coming in here and holding hands with McGregor like we've seen later in the game and what we normally see. I just felt that there was more space for Engels to roam around in and to actually dictate the play. He was at the centre of a lot of our attacks going forward. I think McKeown did have a decent shift in this game, but I do think that he was rather anonymous. Sometimes the criticism I've had of Arne Engels in matches gone by is that 10, 15, 20 minutes can go by and where is he? What's he doing? And that's when Engels has been on this right-hand side of midfield here, and maybe McKeown's been on the left, or maybe Hatate's been on the left, or whoever. But it did feel that McKeown did have some moments in this game where he kind of went absent, just kind of fell off the pitch, as it were, wasn't really involved in the play. And I feel that this was all quite well built up to try and focus on Adam Ida, to try and focus on the target man. If the ball is going to be getting played out wide and quick, with Johnson and Kühn in particular, they didn't really have a third man supporting them very often, if ever. It was very much a double act on this right-hand side here. It was going to be trying to find the striker on the shoulder of the last man, who Gogic, we've seen the last couple of times we've played against St Mirren, is essentially the sweeper. Offside traps are not something we normally need to worry about against St Mirren. And similarly on the left hand side, there was a lovely channel. We just kept finding Dyson in different moments of this game. We're trying to fizz the ball back across the face of goal. So it did feel that we had, maybe not a different route to goal in this match like we've been asking for on this channel, but maybe just a slight tweak where it was more wide play with fullback and winger on both sides of the pitch here. And it then just gave a lot more licence for McKeown and for Engels to go around and knit the play together, with McGregor essentially just kind of acting as the conductor, the kind of shield, as it were, at the back. We did see from Trusty in this game probably the main difference between him and Scales, where whenever Trusty was bringing the ball out from the back, especially in the first half, when he gets to this kind of area here, he's really happy to zip a ball long and on the ground into Dyson or into Taylor quite quickly, quite early, which is fine. But there was a real reluctance from him to cross the halfway line. And for me, when it comes to on the ball play, we get the absolute most of Trusty when we can get him into these little pockets of possession here. And, Taylor, Dyson, the midfield, whoever it is, can use him as that kind of bounce pass, as that kind of wall player to try and, just cycle the ball out of this crowd and maybe try and get it across into the right-hand side of the pitch. Or if they can find him, he's quite happy to bump a ball forward. He's quite a 1-2 touch play, which is why he does, have this reluctance to travel the ball, because that's normally leading him then to take 4 or 5 touches, and he doesn't really seem comfortable or up for doing that. Maybe it's instructions, maybe it's a personal preference, but Scales kind of does that a little bit more, but it's a very minor thing. I thought Trusty took his goal very, very well, and ultimately in this game, didn't put a foot wrong, was absolutely impeccable alongside Carter Vickers, and really there was not much jeopardy in this game of St Mirren really scoring. As the game did wear on, we made some substitutions. All of our substitutions came when we were 3-0 up already. So quite just before I get to that, even though that we had like this kind of slightly different style of play where with Boyd, Munns, Phillips and O'Hara, like they were really chapping at the bit. They were really not letting anyone get away with murder in the centre area here. I felt that McKeown and Engels played kind of outside of that midfield three quite well. We found the wide players quite well, but ultimately we're still missing this kind of driving force through the middle. There was some nice moments in the match where McGregor would maybe see a channel of space, move his way into it, and then like could help with the ball and try and like, keep possession or keep an attack going up. But it still feels that we are still playing some square pegs and some round holes, which is why like Kühn's first goal is lovely, of course. Trusty's goal, very well taken set piece. And the third goal is a little bit fortunate. There wasn't really many chances in this game that we really sliced open St Mirren and we were just like hammering shots down, putting the keeper under lots of pressure. You know, in this game we had 5 big chances. We get 6 shots on target, 11 shots total, and 75% of possession. And that really all does kind of tie into this kind of like slightly different, high energy, big motivation from the players. You know, I think it was really the individuals that made, you know, they got the ball over the line rather than it being a tactical thing, like we'd really outsmarted them or we've really developed the team a lot, or that St Mirren like were just making gaffes or they didn't have the same level of quality defensively to matches. It did feel that it was just like a bit more of like personal drive from the likes of Engels, from Trusty, from Kühn, from Dyson. Just felt that these guys were on it today and they were just going to find opportunities. They were just going to make the chances come at some point in the game with the amount of possession that we had. But when we did ring the changes in, St Mirren had already made some changes of their own. They went a little bit more of a 2 up front with Ayanga and their new signing Oseni coming on. And our first changes happened on the 70th minute at 3-0 up, where we bring Hatate on for McKeown and Kühn comes off for Yang. Now, I was quite excited at this moment. Kühn getting significant minutes in this match, and with both wingers, Maeda and Kühn, playing the full shift in the derby match, it was inevitable that none of them were going to get the 90 minutes in this game. And, you know, Yang was, again, lively when he came on, and I think he's showing small little gains where we've been speaking before about how, like, he's got energy, he's very direct, he gets by people, but then he never, like, gets the shot away, never finds the pass. And there was a few moments where he did, you know, get the pass away, kind of, didn't really lose possession, made something happen off of his direct nature. But also with Hatate coming back in, I was wondering, would there be a slight change of shape? Would we see some sort of revert to default kind of happen? And I guess we did. Hatate was very busy when he came on, got plenty of touches of the ball, did try some nice moves that never really ultimately come off. But we've seen much more of Taylor coming inside a bit more when Hatate came on, and it did feel a little bit like we were back to painting by numbers, where sometimes even I felt like Trusty was at left back. You know, it's kind of weird how we did end up shaping out towards the final stages of the match. And St Mirren, credit to them, never gave up. This game was contested by them all the way. Schmeichel really did have to work hard for his clean sheet. And Ida had some good moments in this match where he really did run the channel. There was a really good moment right before he gets subbed off where he's ran down the line, really burst into the box, and ultimately it came to nothing. And I think Ida is kind of suffering a bit from being not maybe necessarily the lone striker, because there is always someone kind of halfway close to him, but see, not having that designated like attacking mid, or having Dyson a bit more narrow where, like, you know, you can actually play in, not necessarily a 2, but as soon as he's in space, he's making some sort of attacking move happen, he has to know who his partner is. He has to know who, like, okay, if I'm not going to get the shot away, I know this guy is going to be hovering around here. I think Hatate was at the edge of the box for a cutback and it never quite made it to him. But I just think that Ida, like, Kyogo doesn't suffer this because Kyogo never tries to link up with anyone. If Kyogo is in this area, you know he's just going to shoot. He's not going to be looking for anyone else. But Ida, it feels like he gets rush of blood to the head. He makes some good movements. You know, his strength works out for him. His pace works out for him. And he'll get himself into some of these chances. And it just, yeah, he's just not got the wherewithal. He's maybe not got the composure to just, like, make a clean finish, just hit the back of the net, or just make sure that someone hits the back of the net and finds someone else. But I don't think Ida did enough in this game, sadly, to really dislodge Kyogo. I've been calling out for Ida to get a run of a couple of games starting in a row, because I just think that's the best way to give Kyogo a fair fight for that spot. If we keep just giving Ida one game, oh, you didn't do it, pal, back to the bench, it's going to be really hard to really get Kyogo back firing. And I know he scored 2 goals before the derby, right? But the criticism or the The lack of production for him has been there to see now for a little while. And normally when we've seen this kind of competition for places, like subs coming on for someone after they've been rested, like Hatate in this match, for example, or McKeown gone by, or Ida gone by, normally those subs come in with a bit of a lift, a bit of a lift in their game, a bit of determination to, like, I'm going to score the goal, I'm going to get us back on winning this. And Hatate showed a little bit of that when he came on in this game. I think Kyogo showed a little bit of it as well, but maybe they never had enough time on the clock, maybe it just didn't quite work out for them. But you definitely seen that they were still like pulling in the right direction, still had a bit of zest in their play, and were still looking to, affect the game as it were. But sadly it came to nothing. At 3-0 up, it did feel like that was kind of the game over and done with and in cruise control. We did see Palma come on to get maybe his last minutes at Celtic Park, and he was again a caricature of himself. He did kind of half beat one guy on the dribble and then decided, nah, I'm okay, and then just didn't lose possession. So maybe that's the last time we'll see him. We did actually speculate, could that have been the last time we've seen Taylor in the derby? And apparently from some of the tweets I've seen out on social media at the end of this game, at full time Taylor was right down the tunnel, so he's not saying bye to any fans at this game. Maybe we'll see away to Ross County, nice away section. That might be the last hurrah for Taylor. Next up we've got at home to Dundee United, of course, but before we get there we have the player ratings for the match to go through. And this was a huge change on outfield performance from what we've seen in the last match against Rangers. Auston Trusty comes out the match with the highest scoring performance, 96.5 out of 100. With his goal it makes a big difference. Of course the clean sheet was lovely. 1 tackle made, 10 effective clearances and 3 blocks. Very Scales-esque output there, just being no nonsense defending. 11 duels won, having lost 8, so 3 positive, that's fine enough. 95 accurate passes, 13 missed passes. I don't know, that surprises me, 13 missed, but there you go, the stats don't lie, I guess they say. And in attacking areas, like, he had his 1 shot away. Very cool, calm and collected. Feels like he's back in now for a couple of matches. Now, Carter Vickers, having been the highest performing player in the derby match, in this game is probably one of the lowest performers. It might surprise you statistically. I was quite surprised. I don't know if I was surprised. I didn't think he was going to start this game. I thought Trusty and Scales would have been the centre-back partners, because Vickers has played so many games, like 3 days in every 3 days there's a game. But he came through this, really unfazed, cool, calm and collected, the fridge. 6 duels won, 6 lost, 1 interception, 74 accurate passes, no tackles won, a few effective clearances. The big man was imperious, and error led to shot fell his way though in this game, and really was an absolute unit. But I do think, I was looking at it before making my selections on my Sorare fantasy teams for this game week, but he has played 4 games in a row when there's a match every 3 days previously this season, and match number 5 has normally been his problem. I actually think he will play the next game, because we've had 4 home games if we include the next upcoming match, and the one away match in the middle there, the derby. Ibrox, it's not really much of an away trip, is it? So we've basically been in Glasgow for the last 5 matches, and I think we'll see Vickers retain his spot again before Scales and Trusty might be the centre-backs away to Ross County. I know I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here. The second highest rated player on the day was Alistair Johnson, who again I thought was pretty perfect in this game. Never really let anything get by him, was always first to the ball, got into the final third quite often as well, played in some nice crosses. He won 2 tackles, 6 effective clearances, won 3 duels, having lost 1 with an interception, 72 accurate passes, 19 of them in the final third, which is great to see. And yeah, I thought Johnson was brilliant in this game, really solid, without being overly spectacular. He didn't get his goal, or he didn't really dominate the right hand side, but didn't put a foot wrong. No negative actions in the match. Right behind him is Nicolas Kuhn, the guy with 2 goals, who was maybe a wee bit disappointed not to get his hat-trick before coming off. He did have a big chance missed in this one. A nice chance creation, good shots on target from him. Otherwise, none of the stats really jump out at you as being incredible or really good or whatever. And I think it did feel like Kühn was in third gear throughout this match. He was definitely up for it. He was definitely in good fettle, but he wasn't at full throttle in this one. So to get 2 goals out of him in the circumstances, I thought it was pretty good going. Arne Engels, the last action hero in midfield, was everything and anything to everyone in this game. 4 effective clearances, a tackle and a block. The duels, 2-1, 2 lost, is a bit of whatever, but 54 accurate passes, 12 of them into the final third, and he would have got some corners and whatever. Yeah, 11 balls into the box for this one, a few chances created, and his own shot, of course, with the assist coming his way for the goal. 79.7 out of 100. And guys, we've got a lovely top 5 here with Kasper Schmeichel in his clean sheet bringing in a 72.9. And the great thing about this is Schmeichel had to actually work for it. He had a nice sweeper keeper in this game, a few diving saves and catches which haven't been caught by the Opta statisticians that run this, but a punch, good high claim, saving some shots. He's been good value for his points on this one. 32 accurate passes, only 2 of them were missed. Great distribution again from Big Kasper with 3 possession losts in total. Taylor, 61 out of 100, kind of surprises me. He's got a tackle, Nice dual win percentage there, 7/3, net 4. 82 accurate passes, 25 of them in the final third. Yeah, I didn't think Taylor was that effective, but I guess he must have been involved in more than I'd give him credit for. Look, McKeown on a 45. He got like a higher score than this off the bench against St Johnstone or Rangers. I forget which game it was, but some nice passing stats. He lost more duels than he won. His actual pass count was quite low, and in the final third didn't really have much going on. So yeah, I did think that McKeown didn't really cover himself in glory in this game. I don't think he did bad necessarily, but was somewhat anonymous in the match. And then no one from the bench really stood up and did anything fantastic. But if we look at McGregor, because I referenced his stats earlier on, at half-time he had 25 passes. By the 70th minute he had 40. And then by the end of the game, he's finished it with 71. So the final third of the match is where McGregor got his most passes. And that was when Hatate was on the pitch, when Taylor was inverted as well. And, the game was beyond, where we're winning 3-0. And McGregor was just putting cruise control in the match, it felt like. But normally we see McGregor getting to 80, 90, 100 passes a match in these games where we're at home and we get something as incredible as 75% possession. So definitely a little bit of an evolution on the build-up from back to front and how direct the team is being. The last player to sort of highlight in this, I suppose, would be Dyson, who got his assist on the day. A big chance created. He missed a big chance himself. I think we all remember that one. Got a shot on target, 5 balls into the box. Dual success was nice. 18 passes, 6 missed. It feels like a very Dyson ratio. 1 a tackle for himself as well. And I think Kühn should have a tackle 1 or something. Yeah, 2 tackles 1. His defensive contribution is winning of the ball back. Very underrated. And yeah, good performance overall, quite professional. And I say, if I was to summarise it, 3-0, we're probably in third gear for most of it. But the questions are going to come now throughout the next week or two, still about the future of left back, still about the evolution of the midfield, and still about who is going to be the arrowhead forward for Celtic. There is no rest for the wicked. The next game up is at Wednesday. At point of recording, we're at Sunday, so 3-day turnaround, and we're at home to Dundee United. How many changes will there be to the starting 11? Will there be any? Who will be the heroes on the day? Has anyone changed the balance of power in the squad after the performance? Maybe not just in this game, because it's been the first time we did an analysis video since, I think, after St Johnstone, because Rangers we were live to do that. But anything over the last game or two that you think is kind of showing itself to the fore as a dynamic in the squad you can see emerging, or something that needs addressed, get into the comment section of the video, of course. We'll be back throughout the week, of course, to preview Dundee United, to do the aftermath, live streams, podcasts, everything else in between. If you did enjoy this video, you do enjoy Celtic content like this, then please do hit the subscribe button for more content like this. Hit the like button if you enjoyed yourself. Get into the comment section, of course, on screen and now some other stuff that we've made that YouTube thinks you might enjoy. Hope you've had a great weekend. Hail, hail, and Moan the Hoops.